Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something you see every single day, but maybe haven't really seen. We're talking about the architectural blueprint of flowering plants, the incredible hidden engineering behind every single root, stem, and flower. You ready? Let's dive in. Now, I'm serious. Think about it for a second. We walk past plants all the time, right? We're so used to them, but if you stop and look, really look, you'll see this masterpiece of design. It's been perfected over millions of years, and today we're going to give you the keys, the tools to unlock that design and see it for yourself. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle the basic plant blueprint. Then, we'll get into how they support themselves and move stuff around. After that, it's the solar-powered leaf, the amazing flower, and finally, how we get from that flower to a fruit.
Okay, first things first. Just like any good building, every plant starts with a blueprint. And what's amazing is that they all follow this surprisingly simple but totally effective two-part plan.
And it's a perfect division of labor, really. You've got the part you don't see, the underground root system. Think of it as both an anchor holding the plant down and a giant straw sucking up water and nutrients. Then, everything you do see, that's the shoot system. It's the factory, working hard above ground, soaking up the sun to make food and, making sure there are more plants in the future. Now, when it comes to roots, there are basically two main designs. First up, you've got the taproot system. This is what you see in plants like carrots or dandelions, one big main root that just drills straight down. It's super common in what we call dicots. On the other hand, you have the fibrous root system. Think about pulling up a clump of grass. There's no single main root, right? It's just this dense mat of thin roots. That's typical for monocots, and it's fantastic at holding the topsoil together. All right, so we've got the foundation sorted with the roots. Now let's travel up the plant and check out its internal infrastructure. Basically, its skeleton and its plumbing. A root isn't just a static thing. It's constantly on a journey through the soil. It all starts at the very, very tip with the root cap. It's literally a tiny hard hat protecting the root as it pushes forward. Right behind that, you've got the meristematic region. This is the new cell factory, just pumping them out. Then, those new cells stretch out in the region of elongation, which is what actually pushes the root deeper. And finally, a little further back, you hit the region of maturation. This is where the magic happens, where all those tiny root hairs pop out to do the heavy lifting of absorbing water and minerals. So, how does all that good stuff from the roots get to the rest of the plant? Well, that's the stem's job. The stem is the central support, the main axis. Think of it as the plant's superhighway. It's holding up the leaves and flowers, yeah, but it's also got these internal pipes that are moving water up from the roots and shipping sugars down from the leaves. It is the absolute critical link holding the whole operation together. Okay, we've talked about the foundation and the highway system. Now for the real engine room. If the stem is the highway, then the leaf is where all the action is. It's a perfectly designed, high-tech, solar-powered factory that turns sunlight into food. Pretty incredible, right? So next time you pick up a leaf, look closely at that pattern of lines running through it. That's called venation. And trust me, it's not just there to look pretty. Those veins are doing two massive jobs at once. They're the skeleton, giving the leaf its shape, and they're the plumbing system, with pipes bringing water in and taking the sugary food out. And hey, just like we saw with the roots, there are two main patterns here too, and it links back to those same plant groups. On one hand, you have reticulate venation. It's this complex, web-like network of veins you'd see on, say, an oak leaf. That's a classic sign of a dicot plant. Then you've got parallel venation. Think of a blade of grass or a corn leaf. All the veins run in nice, straight, parallel lines. That's your telltale sign of a monocot. And nature is just so smart. It's incredibly efficient. Leaves aren't just stuck on the stem randomly. Oh no, the pattern is precisely engineered and it has a name, phyllotaxy. And the whole point, the entire purpose, is to arrange the leaves perfectly so that each one gets the most sunlight possible without shading out its neighbors. It's genius. And this clever engineering usually boils down to three main patterns. You've got alternate, where there's just one leaf at each spot on the stem. Then there's opposite, where you get a pair of leaves, one on each side. And finally, whorled, where you have a whole circle of leaves radiating out from one spot. Each one is just a simple, elegant solution to that complex problem of maximizing sunlight. All right, we've looked at the foundation, the plumbing, the solar panels, but now we get to the main event, the plant's ultimate innovation, its most brilliant, beautiful, and, let's be honest, show-offy creation, the flower. This is where everything we've talked about comes together for one critical purpose: reproduction. So let's deconstruct a flower. A typical one is built in 4 layers, or whorls, kind of like nested circles. If we start from the outside and work our way in, the very first layer is the calyx. These are the little green leafy bits called sepals that protected the flower when it was just a bud. Peel that back and you get the corolla. These are the big, showy, colorful petals designed to yell, "Hey, over here!" to bees and butterflies. Go 1 layer deeper and you find the male parts, the androecium. And then, right in the very heart of the flower is the female part, the gynoecium. This is where the future seeds are kept safe.
Now here's the detail that's super important for botanists: where the ovary sits in relation to everything else. In some flowers, you have what's called a superior ovary, where the petals and other parts are attached below it. It's sitting on top of everything like a queen on a throne. Then you have half inferior, where things are attached more or less around the middle of the ovary. And finally, you get an inferior ovary, where the ovary is sunken down and all the other flower parts are attached above it. It's all about that architectural layout.
Okay, here's another super cool design detail for you. It's called estivation. And what it describes is how the petals are packed and folded together inside the bud before it blooms. I mean, are the edges just touching? Are they twisted like a pinwheel? Do they overlap? It's literally floral origami, and what's amazing is that these patterns are really consistent. You can often identify a plant family just by looking at how its petals are folded in the bud.
So you might be asking, what's the point of all this? All this intricate, beautiful floral architecture? Well, it all has one goal: successful reproduction. And that brings us perfectly to our final section. What happens after the flower has done its job?
This is where the real transformation happens. Once a little pollen does its job and fertilization occurs, the flower's mission is basically complete. The petals fall away, and the ovary, that central part we talked about, starts to swell and grow and ripen. It becomes the fruit. And the tiny little ovules that were inside it, they develop into the seeds for the next generation. And the seed itself is just a marvel of packaging. Seriously, it's a tiny plant in a box, and it even comes with a packed lunch. You've got the tough outer seed coat for protection. Inside that is the embryo, which already has the tiny beginnings of a root and a shoot. And it also has its own food supply to get it started, which are called cotyledons. And here's that pattern again. Dicot seeds have 2 of them, while monocot seeds just have 1. Okay, wow, we've gone through a lot of features, right? Root types, leaf patterns, petal counts, ovary positions. It can seem like a ton to keep track of. But what if I told you there was a secret code? A simple, elegant way that botanists use to summarize almost all of this complexity in one single, short line.
This is it. It's called the floral formula. I know, it looks a little cryptic, like some kind of weird math equation, but it's actually a universal language. This one little formula right here for a mustard plant tells a botanist everything they need to know: its symmetry, how many sepals it has, how many petals, how many stamens, and even the exact structure of its ovary. It is the ultimate summary of a flower's design, all packed into one line.
So, here's my challenge to you. The next time you're outside and you walk past a flower or even just pull a weed from your garden, don't just see a plant, see the blueprint. Try to spot the phyllotaxy in the leaves. Check out the venation pattern. See if you can count the parts and decode the floral whorls. You now have the tools, the secret knowledge, to see this whole hidden world of incredible botanical architecture that's been all around you this whole time.